Imagine for a second a somewhat bizarre scenario.
Okay, I'm listening.
You are sitting in your living room, and you're perhaps feeling completely overwhelmed by your career.
Right. Highly relatable for a lot of people.
Exactly. Your relationships are, entirely stagnant, and you just have this creeping, unshakable feeling of being utterly lost in your own life.
Yeah, that deep existential dread.
So what do? You pull out your smartphone, you stand in front of a window to catch some natural light, and you take a basic forward-facing selfie.
Just a standard selfie.
Just a selfie. And you upload this simple JPEG to a stranger on the internet.
Okay, I mean, people do that all the time on social media, but I feel like this is different.
Oh, it is. Because 72 hours later, you receive a meticulously detailed 12-month blueprint.
Wow.
A document that claims to not only tell you exactly why your career is burning you out, but it actually decodes the ancient, divine, energetic signature of your very soul.
It sounds like something out of a sci-fi novel about spiritual technology, right?
Right. But today, we are looking at an organization that claims this isn't fiction at all.
Yeah, it's very real for them.
We are diving deep into a stack of materials from an entity known as the Cherubim Spiritual Life Center, which operates in this fascinating tandem with a physical wellness space called Vitality.
A very interesting combination of physical and digital.
It really is. Our mission today is to explore their highly unique service, which they call the Soul Code.
It's a soul code, yeah.
And what makes this so captivating is how they are attempting to navigate the incredibly complex, often totally unspoken relationship between the soul and our day-to-day mind and body experiences.
It is a remarkable set of source materials, it really is. Because what we are fundamentally examining here is a framework that attempts to bridge a gap most modern people simply accept as permanent.
I mean, we do live in a deeply partitioned society, right?
We absolutely do. You have your physical maintenance, like you go to the gym, you drink your water, you maybe get a massage for a tight muscle.
Yeah, the basic physical upkeep.
Right. And then, completely separate from that, you have your existential or your spiritual life.
Completely walled off.
Exactly. What the Cherubim Spiritual Life Center posits is that this separation is just an illusion.
An illusion.
Yeah. Their entire framework is built on bringing awareness to what they describe as a divine code embedded into every single soul that walks this earth.
From birth to death.
From the very moment of birth to the moment of death. And the goal of our discussion today is to highlight this specific awareness they are bringing to the table.
Which is that the spirit is essentially ignored in modern wellness.
Yes. The essence that gives light and life is often ignored, and they believe that acknowledging this innate blueprint actually changes the mechanics of how a human being operates in the real world.
And to really grasp what they are proposing, we have to start where they start, which is at the absolute beginning of the human story.
Well, at least according to the philosophical tradition they are drawing from.
Right, because the name itself, the Cherubim Spiritual Life Center, gives us a massive clue about their foundational perspective.
It really sets the stage.
When I first read that name in the materials, my mind just immediately went to the biblical imagery, specifically the book of Genesis.
And that is precisely where the name originates. Their interpretation of Genesis chapter 3, verse 24, actually serves as the cornerstone for their entire methodology.
Let's unpack that a bit for the listener.
So, according to the text, after humanity's departure from the Garden of Eden after the fall, so to speak, God placed the cherubim at the east of the garden.
And I think we need to clarify what cherubim are in this context.
Right, because in popular culture, cherubim are often depicted as these chubby winged babies.
We got a Valentine's Day card.
Exactly. But in the ancient textual context, cherubim are formidable, powerful, angelic beings.
Terrifying beings, really.
Oh, absolutely. And their stated purpose in that specific verse was to guard the way to the tree of life.
Which is usually framed in the most punitive way possible.
Yeah, it's seen as a punishment.
Every time you hear that story, culturally, it is like the ultimate eviction notice. The cherubim are the cosmic bouncers, you know. The flaming sword is the velvet rope, and humanity is permanently banned from the club.
That's a great way to put it.
It is a story about being locked out of perfection forever. But what I found so compelling in these sources is that they take that exact same image and completely invert the psychological takeaway.
They do. They aren't looking at the cherubim as a symbol of punishment at all.
No, they completely reframe the narrative.
The center interprets the image of the cherubim guarding the tree of life, not as a permanent lockout, but as an enduring representation of a timeless human longing.
Because it's still there.
Right. According to their philosophy, the fact that the tree of life is still guarded implies that it still
The
exists.
path is literally still
The
there.
path is there. And therefore, humanity's separation from the divine isn't just some historical tragedy.
It's active.
Yes, it creates an innate, built-in desire within every single person to rediscover that way back.
It represents a longing for communion.
Communion, for inherent meaning, a sense of wholeness, and ultimately for profound spiritual life.
They argue that because we inherently remember this connection on a soul level, we are essentially walking around deeply homesick.
Homesick is the perfect word for it.
And this homesickness manifests in very specific, incredibly heavy ways in our daily lives.
Oh, it really does.
The sources explicitly list out the kinds of existential questions that this longing generates for you and me.
The questions that keep you up at night.
Exactly. They talk about asking things like, who am I beneath everything the world has told me I am?
Or, why am I actually here?
Right. Where is my life leading?
Yeah.
And what is the purpose of my soul? And how do I reconnect with that divine source?
Which are the exact questions that tend to struck people in their quietest, most vulnerable moments?
When you're lying in bed at 2 a.m.
Yes, it is that profound existential dread that hits when the distractions of the day finally fade away.
But culturally, how do we typically respond to those feelings?
Not well.
Right, when someone feels utterly lost, or when they are questioning the fundamental purpose of their existence, our modern reflex is to pathologize it.
We view these feelings of being purposeless as a symptom of a psychological failing.
We think it's a sign that something is terribly wrong with us, or that we are simply failing at the game of life.
We try to fix it or numb it out or, optimize it away.
Everyday new planner.
We buy a planner, or we doom scroll for 3 hours on social media, or we just assume we need a different job.
But the paradigm shift this center offers, and this is where their philosophy really starts to take root, is that they suggest these agonizing questions are the exact opposite of failure.
According to their framework, the feeling of being lost is actually the beginning of an awakening.
It's a catalyst.
It is a crucial transition point. The center posits that your deepest questions and your feelings of profound confusion are not signs that your life is broken.
Which is such a relief to hear.
Rather, they are active invitations for your soul to remember its divine existence.
To make this incredibly tangible for you listening, think about the device you are probably using to listen to this deep dive right now.
Your smartphone.
Right. Imagine you are out running errands, you are relying on your phone for navigation, and suddenly the screen dims.
I hate when that happens.
It's the worst. A giant, obtrusive warning flashes that says 10% battery remaining.
Yep.
You do not look at that notification and spiral into despair thinking, oh, my phone is fundamentally defective.
Right. You don't think it's ruined forever.
No, you don't think, I am a failure for owning this phone.
You recognize the warning as a built-in feature designed to protect the system.
Exactly. It is a communication tool.
It is your device saying, hey, your core energy is depleting, and you need to prioritize plugging back into the power source.
And what this center is suggesting is that the anxiety, the existential dread, the 2 a.m. panic about what you are doing with your life, that is simply your soul's low battery warning.
That's a great analogy.
It is a built-in alert from your innate blueprint telling you that it is time to reconnect to the grid.
And the psychological relief that this perspective can offer is actually quite profound if you sit with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Consider the sheer volume of energy a person expends simply fighting their own confusion.
Just the resistance to it.
Right. We are exhausted not just by our lives, but by our resistance to our own feelings of being lost.
So true.
If an individual can stop fighting that existential friction and instead start viewing it as a divine breadcrumb trail leading them back to their ultimate purpose, the entire narrative of their life changes.
The friction is no longer the enemy. The friction is the map.
Exactly.
Which is a beautiful, poetic way to look at human suffering and confusion.
It's very poetic.
But it brings up a massive logistical problem, which is where the source material takes a very sharp, very unexpected turn.
It definitely pivots.
If our existential questions are the breadcrumbs, and our longing is the map back to the tree of life, how on earth do we actually read the map?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because saying you have a divine code is one thing. Handing someone the decoder ring is another.
Right.
And the literal mechanism this center uses to decode the soul is where I really had to pause and reread the documents.
Because the transition from the highly metaphysical language of biblical cherubim to the hyper-modern mechanics of their service is, well, it's jarring.
It's very jarring.
The entire process of uncovering this innate blueprint begins with a step that is incredibly mundane.
We teased it in the intro.
Right. To generate what they call the soul code, the starting point requires the user to upload a photograph.
Specifically, a clear, face-forward photo taken in natural lighting.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to stop you here and really push back on this, because the skeptic in me is just screaming right now.
I get it. It's a huge leap.
We are talking about the divine spark of life here. We are talking about an ancient blueprint embedded in the human spirit before birth.
Yes.
And the key to unlocking that profound mystery is a JPEG.
I know how it sounds.
I just don't understand the mechanics here. How does a digital photo, which is literally just a computerized grid of pixels capturing light and shadow, act as a window into an ancient, energetic signature?
It's a fair question.
I mean, if I take a selfie, my phone is capturing my physical geometry. How are they extracting a soul from that?
It is the natural question to ask, and to understand their methodology, we really have to look at the philosophy underpinning the technology.
Okay, lay it on me.
The center claims that this image serves as the foundation to decode a person's current life path stage, their core life force, and their unique energetic patterns.
But how?
Well, if we ask how that is theoretically possible within their framework, we have to look at how mystical traditions view the physical body itself.
Okay.
In many of these traditions, the physical body is not separate from the soul.
Right.
It is considered the densest, most materialized manifestation of the soul.
So the physical is just the spiritual rendered in 3D.
Essentially, yes. And what is a photograph, particularly one taken in clear, natural lighting?
It's a snapshot.
It is a capture of light reflecting off that physical form at a very specific, singular moment in time.
I see where you're going with this.
The premise here is that your internal vitality, the blockages in your energetic field, the burdens you are carrying, all of these leave physical markers.
Like what? Wrinkles.
Not just wrinkles. The micro-tension in the facial muscles, the asymmetry in a resting expression, the theoretical light or clarity in the eyes.
Oh, wow.
The center's process suggests that they are not just looking at the shape of your nose or the color of your eyes.
They're looking deeper.
They are reading the energetic state that is actively manipulating those physical features. They are using the physical photograph as an anchor point to read the metaphysical reality.
So it is almost like a spiritual biometric scan.
That's a very good way to describe it.
They are taking the visible data to reverse engineer the invisible state of the person.
Exactly.
I mean, I still find the technological leap fascinating, but framing it as the physical body keeping the score of the soul's journey makes a certain kind of logical sense within their system.
It holds together internally, yes.
And I should mention, for anyone listening who is immediately thinking about data privacy, because uploading photos to strangers is inherently risky. The sources are very explicit about this in their FAQs.
Yeah, very clear on that point.
They state unequivocally that the photo upload is highly secure, it is strictly private, and it is never sold, shared, or used for anything other than generating this personal reading.
The entire ecosystem is 100% online and accessible worldwide.
Which highlights a very crucial distinction the center makes about their service.
They actively contrast this highly personalized photo-based decoding with more generic spiritual tools.
Right.
The sources explicitly state that they are moving away from broad categories like standard horoscopes or generic personality quizzes.
Yeah, there's a line in the text that actually says, where horoscopes speak to millions of people at once, your reading speaks to no one but you.
And this caters directly to a very modern psychological desire for radical individuality, particularly in spiritual practices.
Because nobody wants to be put in a box anymore.
Right. For centuries, spiritual and psychological guidance has been heavily categorical.
You are told you are a Capricorn.
Exactly. Which means you supposedly share an exact cosmic blueprint with roughly 1/12 of the entire human population.
Or you take a test and find out you are an INTJ.
Right, placing you into a neat, predefined box. But modern consumers of spiritual wellness are heavily rejecting those broad strokes.
They don't want to be told they belong to a category based on the month they happen to be born.
No, they want to know what their specific, singular, energetic signature is doing right at this exact moment.
Because if the soul is truly a divine spark, It cannot be mass-produced.
Exactly.
By requiring a current photograph rather than just a birth date, time, and location, the center system implies that your energy is dynamic.
It's moving.
It isn't fixed at birth. It is reading your current life path stage.
Yes.
It suggests that this divine code within you is constantly interacting with your physical reality, and that real-time interaction is what they are attempting to decode.
They are reading the present iteration of your soul's journey.
Okay, so once the photo is analyzed and this unique energetic signature is captured, the question becomes, what is the output?
Right. What do you actually get?
What are they actually reading? And the center organizes the soul's expression in the real world into a very structured framework that they call the 4 pillars of life.
And this is where the metaphysical rubber truly meets the physical road.
Because the first 2 pillars they dive into are not about astral projection or deep meditation states.
Not at all.
They are surprisingly heavily focused on earthly survival.
Very practical stuff.
Let's get into part 1 of the 4 pillars, which covers career path and financial well-being.
The inclusion of these highly practical concerns as spiritual pillars is such a fascinating synthesis.
Let's analyze that first pillar, career path.
According to the framework, the purpose of decoding this pillar is to uncover a person's innate talents and their natural professional drive.
But the goal isn't just to find a job you are good at, right?
No, the reading aims to identify the specific environments and pursuits where your mind can operate with maximum clarity.
It is about finding the path to long-term mastery, so that you can build a legacy without succumbing to burnout.
Building a legacy without burnout. We really need to spend some time on this.
Definitely. Because burnout is perhaps the defining buzzword of the modern workforce right now.
It's everywhere.
Sociologically, we talk about burnout constantly, but we almost exclusively treat it as a logistical problem or an HR failure.
We say burnout happens because someone worked 60 hours instead of 40.
Or because their boss sends emails on Sundays, or because they didn't take enough vacation days.
Right. It is viewed purely as a resource depletion issue.
But the Soul Code Matrix reframes burnout entirely.
Through this lens, burnout is not merely an issue of working too many hours.
Well,
burnout is a symptom of spiritual misalignment.
spiritual misalignment.
Yes, it is the profound physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion that occurs when an individual is operating in direct defiance of their own divine code.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about it energetically.
Oh, so?
Well, if your innate blueprint is designed to be a collaborative, nurturing force, and you have forced yourself into a hyper-competitive, cutthroat corporate sales environment just because it pays well,
You are going to burn out.
you are going to burn out regardless of how many vacation days you take.
Right.
It is like trying to swim upstream against a massive riptide.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
You might be the strongest swimmer in the water, you might have great technique, and you might even make some progress. But the sheer force of fighting the natural current will eventually drown you.
It's inevitable.
Conversely, when you are in an environment that actually aligns with your soul's code, you are swimming with the current.
The effort is still there, sure.
But the friction is gone. Success and legacy become natural byproducts of alignment, rather than things you have to aggressively force through sheer willpower.
Right, and this concept of aligning with the current rather than fighting it transitions seamlessly into the second pillar, financial well-being.
Money.
Yes. The center uses the reading to map out a person's natural relationship with abundance, asset building, and cash flow.
Which is another massive paradigm shift.
It really is.
Because in so many traditional systems, spirituality and money are kept strictly segregated.
You can't have both, supposedly.
Right. There is a deep-seated cultural belief that the material world, and specifically wealth, is inherently unspiritual. Money is often viewed as the root of corruption, not a pillar of spiritual health.
That historical bias is very real, but this framework just discards it entirely.
They treat money as what?
They treat money fundamentally as energy.
Energy.
It is a resource that facilitates the soul's journey in the physical realm.
That changes the whole vibe.
The reading focuses on how to naturally attract this opportunity while, and this is a critical component, establishing solid boundaries to protect your material foundation.
Okay, wait.
The text explicitly claims that doing so allows wealth to flow effortlessly into your physical reality by anticipating possibilities.
I really want to drill down into that specific phrase, establishing solid boundaries to protect your material foundation.
It's an important one.
Because the idea of a financial boundary as a spiritual practice is incredibly provocative.
It's not something you hear every day.
We talk about boundaries in relationships all the time, protecting our emotional peace. But what does a spiritual financial boundary actually look like in practice for you?
Based on the center's philosophy of energy conservation and alignment, a spiritual financial boundary would involve recognizing when the pursuit or management of money is actively draining your central life force.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. For instance, it could mean having the spiritual discipline to say no to a highly lucrative investment opportunity or maybe a new client, simply because the energy required to manage it violates your innate signature.
So it is recognizing that not all money is good money for you specifically.
Precisely. If taking on a specific project compromises your maximum mental clarity, then that project is a violation of your energetic boundary, regardless of the financial payout. A spiritual financial boundary is also about shifting away from a scarcity mindset. When the sources talk about anticipating possibilities, they're describing cash flow as an energetic magnetic pull.
Which completely rewrites a person's relationship with work and stress.
It really does.
If you genuinely believe your soul has a specific, unique code designed for generating abundance, it changes everything.
The panic just goes away.
Right. Financial anxiety, that constant low-level hum of panic about not having enough, the frantic chasing of every dollar, is essentially revealed to be a lack of faith in your own blueprint.
You aren't frantically chasing wealth anymore.
You are aligning your daily actions so that you become a magnet for it. You are anticipating the flow.
It's a much calmer way to live.
But of course, career and money are just the external, societal manifestations of the soul.
It's the outer layer.
The code also dictates the profoundly personal, internal realities of our lives, which brings us to part 2 of the 4 pillars: health and longevity, and relationship and synergy.
Let's examine the health and longevity pillar first. The stated purpose here is to analyze an individual's central life force energy and their biological rhythms.
Meaning?
The reading aims to provide a personalized protocol designed to balance the nervous system, ultimately aligning your daily habits with your soul's natural cycles to sustain long-term vitality.
Now, I want to challenge the premise here a bit, or at least explore the extreme implications of it.
Go for it.
In Western medicine, we view physical illness or fatigue purely mechanically. A virus enters the body, or a vitamin deficiency causes fatigue.
Standard medical model, yeah.
Right. But is this framework suggesting that what we often label as physical illness, chronic fatigue, brain fog, or generalized bodily pain might actually be the result of our physical body violently clashing with our soul's biological rhythm?
The framework strongly implies exactly that connection.
Wow.
By focusing specifically on the regulation of the nervous system, the center is identifying the literal physiological bridge between the metaphysical soul and the physical body.
The nervous system is the bridge.
Exactly. When an individual is chronically living out of alignment with their spiritual blueprint, working the wrong job, ignoring their natural rest cycles, crossing their own energetic boundaries, the nervous system is thrown into a state of chronic sympathetic arousal.
The fight-or-flight response.
Exactly. Your body is physically perceiving your misaligned life as a constant threat.
So you're basically in survival mode constantly.
Yes. And over time, that chronic nervous system dysregulation manifests as deep physical fatigue, brain fog, and potentially even illness.
That makes total sense.
But when you align your daily habits with your soul's natural cycles, the nervous system downregulates. It finally feels safe.
And what happens then?
The text uses a fascinating term here. It says this alignment helps you cultivate superconsciousness, which is the key to an enduring life.
Superconsciousness. If we try to ground that in reality, what does a life driven by superconsciousness actually look like for the person listening to this right now?
What do you think it looks like?
Well, I would imagine that building an enduring life on that level of awareness means you become acutely, almost surgically aware of what you do.
And what you don't do.
And perhaps more importantly, what you absolutely do not do. You realize that drinking that 4th cup of coffee to power through a task, or staying up until 2 a.m. arguing with strangers on the internet, isn't just unhealthy in a generic sense.
It's worse than that.
It is a direct, knowing violation of your personalized spiritual protocol. It is an act of self-betrayal at the deepest level.
That is a very accurate synthesis. It elevates mundane daily choices into sacred, intentional practices.
You aren't just trying to be healthier to lose weight.
Or to lower your blood pressure. No. You are actively honoring your divine code with every habit you form.
That's powerful.
And maintaining this level of superconsciousness is perhaps most difficult and most crucial in the 4th and final pillar relationship and synergy.
And this is where the language in the source materials gets incredibly mystical and honestly a bit dense.
It does get heavy here.
The text states that this pillar decodes your emotional needs and partnership dynamics.
Okay.
But it explains the mechanics of this by saying it works by, quote, aligning your gender polarity and heart center across the tree of life.
That's quite a mouthful.
And we really need to unpack that because taking a deeply ancient, complex, mystical symbol like the Kabbalistic tree of life and applying it to modern dating dynamics, emotional needs, and relational friction is a massive philosophical leap.
It is a significant leap, but it is actually highly coherent within esoteric traditions.
Break it down for us.
The tree of life is fundamentally a diagram of how divine energy flows into the physical universe.
Okay.
A core aspect of this diagram is the balance of opposing forces, often described as the pillar of severity and the pillar of mercy.
Opposing forces, got it.
In many traditions, these forces are categorized as masculine and feminine energies, which the sender refers to here as gender polarity.
Just to clarify for the listener, when they use the phrase gender polarity in this mystical context, they aren't talking about biological sex or traditional gender roles. Right?
No, not at all.
They're talking about energetic dynamics.
Correct. They are referring to the active, outward-driving, penetrating energy versus the receptive, nurturing, yielding energy.
Yin and yang.
Exactly. Every human being, regardless of biology, contains and utilizes both.
Right.
When the center talks about aligning your gender polarity and heart center across the tree of life, they are talking about identifying where your specific energetic output is imbalanced and how it relates to others.
So, practically speaking, if I have a listener who is constantly experiencing the exact same toxic relationship dynamic over and over again,
Which happens a lot.
say they're always attracting partners who take advantage of their kindness, or conversely, they're always subconsciously pushing away people who actually want to care for them.
Right.
The soul code matrix would view that not as bad luck, but as an energetic miscalibration.
Their polarity on the tree of life is skewed.
They are emitting an unbalanced frequency from their heart center, and therefore they are magnetically pulling the corresponding unbalanced dynamic toward them.
Precisely. The goal of decoding this pillar is to provide the awareness needed to correct that polarity.
To fix the signal.
Yes. The sources state that this alignment helps you attract soulmates, cultivate deep trust, and release hidden relational friction.
It sounds amazing.
And there is a very telling phrase used in the materials regarding building harmonious bonds with the right person. They add the caveat, when they show up.
When they show up, I love that because it implies a relinquishing of total control.
You can't force it.
It requires trust in the timing of the universe. You can't force the right person to appear by swiping harder on a dating app.
Doesn't work that way.
All you can do is ensure your energetic polarity is correctly aligned to receive them when the moment is right.
Exactly.
So, we have outlined this incredibly holistic, comprehensive framework. We are talking about mapping career trajectories, financial magnetism, nervous system regulation, and deep relational polarity.
It covers everything.
Uncovering all of this unique data, synthesizing it into a cohesive narrative, and applying it to a specific individual is a monumental task.
A huge undertaking.
Which brings us to how the center actually delivers this profound information to the user, specifically through their intensive premium experience.
Yes, the source materials detail their premium offering, titled the Decode Your Destiny service.
Decode your destiny.
And what immediately stands out in the description of this service is not just what is delivered, but how long it takes to deliver it.
The time frame is interesting.
The center explicitly notes that generating this comprehensive blueprint takes 72 hours.
3 full days.
They emphasize that this window allows for a deliberate, personalized deep dive into the individual's energy, actively contrasting it with an automated instant computer output.
The psychology behind that 72-hour wait is fascinating to me.
Oh, it's brilliant.
We live in a world where everything is instant. Waiting 72 hours for a digital product feels like an absolute eternity.
We're used to Amazon Prime speeds.
Exactly. We are culturally conditioned to click a button, let an AI process the data, and receive a customized output in roughly 3 seconds.
But by enforcing a 3-day waiting period, the center is utilizing a very powerful psychological mechanism.
They are indeed. In an era dominated by instant gratification, a purposeful delay communicates depth.
It communicates meticulous care.
And genuine energetic alchemy. It acts almost like a psychological Trojan horse.
How so?
By the time the 72 hours have passed, The user has built up a significant amount of anticipation. The waiting period primes the conscious mind to treat the incoming information with reverence and seriousness.
Because it required actual time and human energetic effort to manifest.
It bypasses the ego's immediate instinct to dismiss things that come too easily.
That makes total sense.
So after 3 days in anticipation, what exactly arrives in your inbox?
The deliverables they list are quite extensive, actually.
What's included?
The user receives a soul snapshot, a detailed breakdown of their hidden blocks and blind spots, something called their favorable days of the week, a comprehensive 12-month, month-by-month forecast, and a personalized daily practice.
That's a lot of material.
All formatted into a polished, downloadable document. The text even notes that clients often return yearly to run the process again as their soul naturally evolves.
Let's dig into a few of these specific deliverables, starting with the hidden blocks and blind spots.
The value of identifying blind spots is perhaps the most critical component of any psychological or spiritual assessment.
Because you don't know they're there.
By definition, a blind spot is a destructive pattern or a limiting belief that the conscious ego entirely ignores or actively refuses to see.
Right.
However, the soul, the innate blueprint, recognizes the misalignment.
So this part of the reading is designed to bypass the ego's robust defense mechanisms.
Exactly, and show the individual exactly where and how they are sabotaging their own potential.
You can't fix a leak in the boat if you refuse to look below the waterline.
Perfect analogy.
And once you know where the leaks are, the report apparently tells you exactly when to sail. Which brings us to the favorable days concept.
This is a really unique feature.
The materials state favorable days highlight which days of the week align best with different kinds of energy-bold action, rest, connection, or reflection.
Right.
This is incredible to me. It is like being handed a customized rhythm guide for your actual week.
Yeah, it takes the guesswork out.
You are told exactly when to hit the gas pedal and when it is energetically imperative to hit the brakes.
It fundamentally removes the agonizing guesswork from daily living. The text explicitly advises users against forcing important decisions on a day that works against you.
It is the practical application of the alignment we discussed earlier.
Swimming with the current of time rather than fighting it.
Now, I have to ask the ultimate skeptics question, and I am pulling this almost verbatim from their own provided FAQ section because they clearly anticipate this resistance.
I'm sure they get this a lot.
The question is essentially, what if I do not believe in mysticism? What if I think energetic signatures and ancient soul codes are entirely fictional?
A very valid question.
Right. Can a complete hardened skeptic actually get any tangible value from a 12-month destiny forecast and a list of favorable days?
The center's response to this skepticism is remarkably grounded and pragmatic.
What do they say?
They argue that you do not need to hold a belief in mysticism to benefit from the core utilities of the report.
Which are?
Structured self-reflection, timing awareness, and intentional daily practices.
And if we analyze their claim purely from a psychological and behavioral standpoint, they are absolutely correct.
Walk me through that. How does a skeptic benefit from a mystical document?
Well, consider the behavioral mechanics of what is actually being delivered.
Okay.
If you strip away all of the esoteric terminology, if you remove the cherubim, the tree of life, the energetic resonance, what you are fundamentally left with is a highly customized, authoritative blueprint that forces an individual to live intentionally rather than reactively.
Oh, I see.
Let's say my personalized report dictates that Tuesdays are my optimal days for deep rest and reflection, while Thursdays are strictly for bold action and outward connection.
Right.
Even if I think the energetic reasoning is nonsense, simply adhering to that provided structure changes my behavior.
It forces you to pause.
It forces me to stop treating every single incoming email on Tuesday as a 5-alarm fire.
Exactly.
It forces me to categorize my tasks, purposefully conserve my energy, and act with strategic deliberation on Thursdays.
Exactly. The report creates a psychological container for intentionality.
Having a prescribed daily practice and a thematic focus for each month forces a person to step out of the daily grind and engage with their life from a macro perspective.
It elevates your viewpoint.
Whether the user attributes their subsequent success and reduced stress to a divine code, or simply to the well-documented psychological benefits of structured time management and deep self-reflection, the behavioral outcome is the same.
It is fundamentally life-changing either way.
That is a brilliant synthesis and a perfect way to bridge the abstract mystical concepts with deeply practical application.
It's very grounding.
And speaking of bridging the gap between the abstract and the tangible, this grounded application leads us perfectly into how this entire organization actually manifests in the physical world.
Yes, the physical component.
Up until this point, we have been discussing a service that is 100% online, accessible globally, and based entirely on digital uploads.
Right.
But there is a very real, physical, brick-and-mortar reality to this center, which brings us to the final and perhaps most synthesizing piece of our deep dive today.
The dual nature of this organization is indeed one of its most unique features.
It's fascinating.
We have been examining the Cherubim Spiritual Life Center, which serves as the overarching spiritual philosophy and the engine for the digital soul code readings,
But this operates in direct tandem with a physical entity called Vitality.
which is a functioning massage and wellness studio.
And when you look at the provided contact details and the client testimonials, you uncover this incredibly fascinating global local paradox.
It's quite a mix.
On one hand, they list a standard Gmail address for contact and a phone number with a 917 area code, which routes to New York City.
New York, okay.
But then the physical address provided is Barkargatan 66, located in Skutskar, Sweden, but it is followed by CA 90056, which is a California zip code.
That is bizarre.
It is almost as if the center itself exists in this liminal, boundaryless space, perfectly mirroring the internet, yet it simultaneously offers intensely physical, hands-on services.
Let's look at what the actual clients are saying about their experiences bridging these two worlds.
The testimonials are highly illuminating because they perfectly encapsulate the ultimate realization of everything we have discussed today.
The complete integrated marriage of the physical body and the metaphysical soul.
Exactly. If we look at the feedback, a client named Michael R. speaks highly of the calming atmosphere and the personalized care.
He specifically notes that he always leaves the space feeling lighter, energized, and pain-free.
Another client, Emily T., praises the skilled massage, stating that every detail of the studio is meticulously designed for comfort and healing.
But it is the testimonial from Sophia L. where the synthesis of their entire philosophy truly hits you.
What did you say?
She refers to the Vitality Studio as her sanctuary, but she explicitly states, "The readings truly show how to release tension and help feel renewed and confident in my decision-making processes."
That specific phrasing is the crucial link right there.
It really is.
She's explicitly tying the readings, the metaphysical, digital, energetic soul code information directly to the physical release of tension in her body and the improvement of her cognitive executive functioning.
I really just want to highlight how radically unusual this combination of services is.
It's very unusual.
Usually in the heavily partitioned world we talked about at the very beginning of this deep dive, you go to a physical spa strictly for your muscles.
You lie face down on a table. A practitioner works out a stubborn knot in your trapezius muscle. You pay, and you leave.
Right. And if you are having a profound existential crisis about whether you are in the right career, you go sit on a couch and talk to a therapist or a spiritual director.
Never the twain shall meet.
But here they are treating the human being as one single, unbroken, continuous circuit.
Because their foundational philosophy demands it.
They understand that physical knots, muscular tension, and chronic pain are very often the direct physical manifestations of the spiritual hidden blocks we discussed earlier.
The body is the canvas where the soul's struggles are painted.
It is the body keeping the score.
If we go back to our earlier analogy, if your soul's code dictates that you should be in a nurturing environment, but you are fighting a massive corporate riptide every single day,
Your physical shoulders are going to be permanently hiked up around your ears.
your body is bracing for impact because your soul is under attack.
Precisely. In the context of the Cherubim Center's unified philosophy, a skilled massage at Vitality Studio is not just about mechanically manipulating tissue to increase blood flow.
It's more than that.
It is about manually, physically releasing the dense, energetic blockages that the soul code reading has already identified mentally and spiritually.
The reading provides the map of the blockages, and the physical therapy helps clear the debris.
And going back to Sophia L's comment that the readings literally build confidence in her decision-making.
Let's explore the profound depths of that claim.
Living in total alignment with your divine code literally alters your physical posture in the world.
If you know exactly who you are beneath society's expectations, if you are confidently acting only on your designated favorable days, if you've built unshakable spiritual boundaries around your finances.
Your nervous system finally feels safe.
It downregulates. It reduces bodily pain.
It creates a sanctuary not just in a dimly lit building with warm towels and soothing music, but within the physical confines of your own body.
When the mind, the physical body, and the soul are no longer partitioned into separate rooms of your life, but are instead communicating and cooperating as a single, unified entity guided by an innate, remembered blueprint.
The resulting state of being is profound vitality.
Which, of course, brings the entire mission of the studio into perfect
It
focus.
really does bring everything full circle.
Okay, let's take a collective breath and quickly recap the incredible, expansive journey we have been on during this deep dive.
It's been quite a ride.
We started with an ancient, often misunderstood biblical image, the cherubim standing guard at the tree of life in Genesis.
We took that image and reframed our deepest, most agonizing existential dread, not as a sign that we are failing at life, but as a built-in longing to return to our spiritual source.
A low battery warning for the soul.
From there, we explored the fascinating, seemingly paradoxical claim that a modern, natural light digital photograph can theoretically capture the physical markers of our current life path stage,
Allowing practitioners to reverse engineer a personalized, highly unique soul code.
We examined how that decoded signature dictates the reality of the 4 pillars of our earthly existence.
How aligning our career with our energy prevents the spiritual misalignment of burnout.
How establishing rigorous financial boundaries attracts abundance.
How honoring our biological rhythms soothes the nervous system into superconsciousness.
And how balancing our energetic polarity across the tree of life cultivates deep, lasting relationships.
We analyze the brilliant psychological utility of the 72-hour waiting period for the Decode Your Destiny premium experience.
Revealing how structured intentionality, like knowing exactly which days are favorable for action, can radically transform a life.
Providing immense value even for the most hardened skeptic.
And finally, we grounded all this high-level, abstract spiritual theory in the deeply physical reality of a massage table at Vitality.
Realizing that releasing a stubborn knot in your back might just be the exact key needed to unlock a spiritual block.
Proving that the mind, body, and soul are indeed one unbroken circuit.
It is a comprehensive, beautifully structured framework that issues a very clear demand.
What's that?
We must stop treating ourselves as fragmented, exhausted machines and start treating ourselves as living, breathing expressions of a divine code.
Which brings me to a final thought I would like to leave you with today.
I'm all ears.
We spent a significant amount of time discussing the idea that your soul has a natural, undeniable rhythm, and the concept of having favorable days designed for bold action versus days that strictly require rest and reflection.
Right, the customized rhythm guide for your life.
Yes. I want you to consider your own life right now, in this exact moment as you listen to this.
Just pause and think about it.
Think deeply about the specific areas where you are currently experiencing the most intense, agonizing friction.
The pain points.
Think about the job that exhausts you down to your very bones.
Think about the relational dynamics that constantly leave you feeling drained and misunderstood.
Think about the financial anxieties that keep you awake at 2 in the morning.
What if those acute points of friction are not signs that you are fundamentally broken?
What if they aren't proof that you are failing?
What if they are simply signs that you are continually, stubbornly trying to force a bold action on a day or in a season where your innate soul's code is demanding that you rest?
What would happen tomorrow if you stopped fighting your own energetic signature, put down the armor, and simply let your soul take the lead?
That is an incredibly profound question to chew on.
It really is.
Thank you so much for joining us on this extensive deep dive. We hope it gave you some tangible clarity, a radical new perspective on your own friction, and maybe just a little bit of peace regarding your own internal blueprint. Until next time.